Prime Minister Andrew Holness, it is necessary that I find it important that I address you on the question of crime because I want to help. I don't want to see Jamaican, continue to experience this bloodbath. So it is important that I put in my half pound. Now I'm talking to you not just as a prime minister, but as a man, and one Jamaican to another. I can't help the situation because I haven't got the power, but you have got the situation, and it is up to you to do something. So let me see if there is some way that I can urge you to get something done about the question of crime. Now, first to note is that to stop crime in Jamaica, there is something we have got to do. First and foremost, the first and foremost before anything, the first thing we have to do is to stop the guns from coming into the country. If you don't have a gun, you cannot kill a man with a gun. I think that's simple. If you haven't got a gun, you cannot use a gun to kill a man. And none of these dirty kind of boys can go around and stab up so much people. Their power is the gun. So let us at least, the first order of business is to stop the guns from coming in. Now, your own Minister of National Security, about 9, 10 months ago, if my memory serves me right, there was a communique put out by the by that Minister of National Security, stating that between about average of 4 boats comes in from Haiti with guns per week. 4 guns per week coming from Haiti, and each boat contains between 12 and 30 guns, between 12 and 30. So, in other words, a whole lot of guns land into this country every week. But since we don't have an exact number, let us go with an average. So it can be 1 dozen, somewhere between 1 dozen and 2.5 dozen. So let's go with 1.5 dozen, just to keep our estimates conservative. But we know it could be double. But we have a workable estimate. Say 18 guns per boat. 4 boats come in with 18 guns each. That would be 72 guns. 72 guns a week. Now, for a month, 72 guns over 4 weeks. That's 288 guns. 288. That's almost 300 guns, a week. Drop into the hands of unlawful people who are murdering others. Now, over 1 year, you know how much guns that is? 3,456. 3,456. Now, when you have 3,456 minimum guns dropping into the hands of murderers every single year, that's a whole lot of guns. And this has been going on for about at least 12 years. And now guns start coming from Haiti. It has been happening for about maybe 12 years. So that's a whole lot of guns on the street. Do the maths. Now, let us go into recovered guns. Say we recover, some weeks we don't recover a single gun. Other weeks we recover 3, 4, maybe 5. Now and again, maybe twice a year, we recover a 20 or a 30 in a shipment. But on average, we recover 2, 3, 4 guns a week. But let us double it. Let's say 8 guns a week to average it out over the course of a year. Say 8 guns per week are recovered. That is 32 guns in a month. Now, over a year, that would be just 384 guns recovered. 384. Now, when you recover 384 guns out of 3,456, that is 3,072 guns still out on the road every year. So if we leave, so at the end of the day, the bad guys are still winning because they are importing more guns into the country than we can recover. And they are recovering, they are taking in maybe 9 times or 8 times more guns than we are recovering. So every year they are gathering more guns exponentially. So we can't expect to win. We can't expect to win at that rate. So the important thing, we have to cauterize the sore. It's a big sore and it has to be cauterized. How you cauterize it? By stopping the flow of guns into the island. First order of business, stop the flow of guns. And it can happen. It can be done. I mean, Andrew, we know there are a lot of sycophants out there who will tell you that the reason, even officially within your government, there are ministers of national security and other hangers on and sycophants who tell you that the people are not talking, the people not telling us, the people not telling us, and therefore people not telling us where the guns are, people not telling us where the gunmen are, people not telling us which boat carry the guns, with people not telling us. And we use that as an excuse for doing nothing. No, we have to get out of that mindset. Plain and simple, in plain language, Andrew. Not being rude, but the people don't need to tell us shit. We have a job to do, and we have to bypass them and do what we have to do. We can't see that as a place that we can say, boy, they're not telling us, so therefore nothing can't be done. No, that's not the approach. And I'm going to tell you why. I'm going to give you some things about history, which explain how other people have gone against such odds. And it's not an insurmountable factor. It's this can be easily circumvented. But the question of the people not telling us things. So let us look at take you back to 1950s, the early 50s, just after World War II. In 1945, when the World War ended, the Soviet Union was the second country to acquire atomic bombs. And they acquired atomic bombs around 2 to 3 years later. So by 1948, the Soviet Union had the atomic bomb. Now, the atomic bomb at the time, at that time, Soviet Union was a closed state. It was so close and so little information could come out that they called the Soviet bloc the Iron Curtain, because at the time, after World War II, remember that Hungary and Czechoslovakia, Yugoslavia, Romania, Bulgaria, Poland, and all those countries, and East Germany were part of the Soviet bloc. They call it the Warsaw Pact countries. Now, there was no way that the US could get any information about the deployment of Soviet missiles or Soviet installations and their ability to wage war or to bomb the US with bombs. And the US had no way of finding out by getting anybody to talk or getting photographs of anything. So what did the US do? I mean, the US didn't just say, all right, since nobody now tell we, nobody in the Soviet Union now tell we where the bombs there, make we just forget it until somebody in Russia tells us. Right? No. US said, we have our people to protect. And it is important that we protect our people. It is vital that we protect our people. Therefore, we have got to find out. We've got to find out. What did they do? The US didn't just sit down and fold up their hands. They said, all right, here what now? We have to fly over the country and spy on them and see where the missile silos are, see where their bombers are, see where their airports and their airfields are, and so on. We have to find out. We just have to know. But then they say, all right, but Soviet missile will shoot us down. They say, okay, well, we have to make a plane that fly at a distance higher than where the Soviet missiles can hit us. And say, but they have interceptor planes, which are very fast. They have the MiG-19. you know, and they have yaks and other planes that could say, well, in other words, that we have to have a plane that flies not only higher, but faster than where the Soviet yaks or the Soviet fighters could get to us. And what did they do? They decided to build a plane that can do that. At that time when they decided to build that plane, one, they did not have the type of material that could stand up to the rigors of not only supersonic flight, but stand up to the pressures that they would need to go that high, you know. And the US said, okay, well, we'll have to find a metal alloy, create a metal alloy that can stand up to that level of pressure. And they did. Then they said, but we have an engine. As a matter of fact, I think it's the engine first they decide. And they said, we don't have the engine, we don't know. They set their scientists to work and they create the engine. And then they create the type of alloy metal that could take the stress of stratospheric flight at that speed, at Mach 2, Mach 3 speed, which wasn't even a thing then. And then when they do that, they say, hold on, but if we fly a pilot at that height, a pilot's blood would actually boil. His blood will actually, the atoms in his blood, it would come in like he's in a microwave oven. The atoms would just rub against himself and he would overheat and just burst. Like when you put an egg in a microwave. So they said, all right, well, we just have to invent a suit that can take a human up there and keep him within certain atmospheric pressure that one would get at sea level, and so that he would stay safe and at a temperature that is conducive to maintaining human life. And they invented that suit. They invented it. And then the last thing they come to think when they were ready to fix sort out that aircraft was they realized they didn't have any camera that could steer from out in the stratosphere and spy down so far on the ground that they could pick out details. They didn't have a camera that could do that. And what did they do? They invented the camera for that purpose. So the U-2 aircraft that was used to go over the Soviet Union and spy on them was a breakthrough of magnitudinal concepts, because there were so many new breakthroughs just put in that plane. Because what? The US was determined that me have to know what I going over there. Me have to protect my country, and it is my duty. It's not your duty to tell me. It's not the Soviets' duty to tell the US what them have and where they have and where and how them gonna attack the US. But it's the US duty to find out. So America look at it and say, it's my duty to find out, and I'm going to find out. By any means necessary, me I go find out, because it is important for the safety and security of my country. And they found out. Well, as we know, a few years later, I think it's about 1956, 57, one of the U-2s were actually shot down over the Soviet Union. And after it was shot down, I mean, what that fighter, Gary Powers, he was captured and, of course, diplomatic. Anyway, that's not the point. The point is that the US decided now that, well, we can't use no more plane because we can't use the U-2 after spending all those millions. So what are we going to do now? Because we can't send no more plane over there because them just shoot them down. What did the US do? The US said, all right, we stop that, but we're not going to sit down and say, all right, it can't be done. We can no longer spy on the Soviet Union. What they do? They start working on satellites. And within a matter of about 3 years, they could put satellite in geostatic location over the Soviet Union and spy on everything. And to this day, they have satellite over there spying. They never said, we can't. They never said, the Soviet Union, I think else we can't get it. They got it because they know how important it was for them to do it. It's as simple as that, it's the will. Now, I use that example, and I'm going to use another example. I don't know this for a fact, but I've heard that the Chinese have a character in their language that represents crisis. And crisis is said to represent two characters: problems, solutions. So for them, a crisis is problem solutions. Now we have a crisis with a bloodbath in Jamaica. And you know how we look at it? We look at it and say, problems, excuses. When we think problems, when we see our problem, the first thing we think is, where can we find an excuse not to fix the problem? Where are we going to find an excuse? In other words, we are looking to be spoon-fed solutions. And even sometimes when they spoon-feed with the solution, we reject it. And that is such a vicious cycle. You know? Now we have got to think problem solutions more than problems excuses. It's not going to work. It has never helped. Why is it the Chinese have excelled so in everything they do? I admire them because they think problems equals finding a solution, and we're going to find a solution because it has to be found. It does have to be found. Now, when you think like that, you will always succeed because you know there's a solution for every problem on the face of the earth. It's just for you to open your mind to find it. Now, I'm going to use even another example because I like to drive my points home, you know. I like to drive my points home. You get an ant. As we call it at Jamaica, ants. Get an ant. You see an ant walking on your floor, on your tile, on your veranda, on your driveway, or anywhere. And you get a piece of chalk. Just get a piece of chalk and just draw around that ant. Just draw the circle around him. He never comes out. He never leaves out. He will go and as he reach up to the circle, he will go to the full circle inside the circle. And he'll never come out of it. Why? In its mind, it sees a barrier. It is a barrier that it could just go across any second, any minute that it wants to. It's a barrier. But in its mind, it's a barrier. Even though that barrier don't really exist, it's just a figment of its imagination. I mean, the chalk line is there, but it doesn't see it as something to just pass through. It sees it as something to stop. And that ants will stay within that circle till the day it dies. Or it will take so much time for it to come out when the chalk line maybe rub out or something. But an ant, you will never put an ant and draw a circle around him and he comes out. Even if you see an ant crawling on a book page, take one, put on a book page, and just take a crayon and just draw a circle around him. He never comes out. So, Andrew, this government, as all other previous administrations, act like an ant surrounded by a chalk mark. And they're not coming out of it because as far as they are concerned, it's a barrier. But where's the barrier? The barrier is here. The barrier is here. And we need to stop doing that. Now, some of you who are in your 40s or older might have heard a song called There's a Hole in the Bucket. I think it was done by Harry Belafonte and a girl. Now, for those of you who have never heard of the song or who vaguely remember it, I want you to go on YouTube and look up There's a Hole in the Bucket by Harry Belafonte. And in that song, it tells you exactly why we in Jamaica can't fix crime and why we are not getting to the cusp of the matter. Because we think like what the guy in the song named Henry. We think like Henry. And we need to stop thinking like Henry. But for you to really grasp the essence of what I'm saying and everything, how you will never get anything done as long as you make excuses. Because once you start making excuses, you'll never even think of a solution. You'll not think of a solution. Because it's easy to just think of an excuse. Now, listen, when you finish watching this video, look up There's a Hole in the Bucket by Harry Belafonte. And you'll see exactly what I'm saying. You go right in circle and come back to the problem same way. Now, moving right along. You see, Israel, Israel is a country that I love. Israel is a country that I've always appreciated. You know why I have always fallen in love with Israel? It's because of how they do things. Israel right now is one of the most powerful countries on earth. And it's a country of about what? 7, 8 million people. And this is a country which has succeeded even though they're surrounded by almost 1 billion people who wants them dead, who wants their blood. They're surrounded totally by Arabs, and there are small amount of people in a small amount of space that they call the land of Israel, and they are really extremely resilient. How did they manage it? Because they have the will. They have the will. And I'm going to tell you one of the will that the Israelis have. I'm going to give you an example. Back in 1948, when they became a nation and the state of Israel was actually formed, they realized that they needed to defend themselves. Because at the time, the Soviet Union was arming Egypt, Jordan, Syria, and several other countries surrounding Israel, and at the same time, U.S. was arming Saudi Arabia and Kuwait and so on and so forth, Tunisia and all of that. So Israel was really on its own, and it need this realize that if it didn't get fighter jets and a specific type of fighter jets, it would be thrown into the sea. Israel would not exist today, right? Here is what they did. They said, all right, after doing their research, they realized that the best jet for them to get would be the Mirage 3. And it was made by France. Now, at the time, they couldn't buy the jets. They had the money, but they could not buy the planes. Why they couldn't buy the planes? Because there was an international embargo on Israel where they could not buy weapons from any country in the world. So what did Israel do? Israel didn't just say, all right, me can't get for buying a plane, so me can't defend myself, so me just going to roll over and dead. No, that's not what Israel did. What it did, it said, me want the Mirage, because Mirage, as far as I'm concerned, is the best plane to defend me right now, based on all of my research, and I go get the Mirage. So what did they do? Israel went ahead and they paid a Jewish pilot in the French Air Force. And that French pilot was paid $1 million to land a Mirage jet in Israel. They got their jet. And when they got their jet, what did they do? They broke it apart, looked exactly how it was, and copied it. And they copied it and made the jets that they needed, and they had their Mirage. And believe me, history will show that if they did not have those Mirage jets in the 6-day war of 1967, Israel would have been thrown back into the sea. Israel would not exist today if they had not done what they did. But you see, they have a sense of national pride, and they have the sense that they had to exist and they had to continue existing, and they did what they had to do to exist. No, I give another example, and I'm going to take Israel again. I could use examples from every country on earth, because every successful country today have their issues and the seemingly insurmountable odds that they have actually prevailed over. But I'm going to stick with Israel, because they're such a small country and they do things so well. Israel realized that, okay, we need the atomic bomb, because the only way we can have a proper deterrent against those Arabs that surround us, that really want to wipe us off the face of the earth, we're going to need the atomic bomb. And of course, if the world never going to sell them plane, them not going to sell them bomb. At the time, only 4 countries on earth had nuclear weapons. 5. And that was the 5 permanent members of the United Nations. That's what China, Britain, France, United States, and who else? Canada, I don't remember. Anyway, those 5 permanent members of the United Nations decided that no other country on earth must have nuclear weapons. Israel say, yeah, really? Me want it to defend myself and me go and get nuclear weapons. So what did Israel do? Nobody now sell we, but we're gonna get it. There was a ship. Then their intelligence told them that there was a ship passing in the Mediterranean Sea that was carrying uranium, and they needed uranium because Israel, in preparation for enriching uranium, they done make a plant at Dimona in Israel, ready to get uranium from anywhere in the world when them get it. And they realized that there was they knew there was a ship passing in the Mediterranean Sea that was carrying uranium to another country. What they did, they dropped their commanders from the air and from boat onto the ship and hijacked the ship, took the ship back into Israel, unloaded the uranium that they need, and put the ship back out in the Mediterranean Sea. Now, the point I'm making here is now, Andrew, me not tell you say if you go hijack nobody plane, I mean I say if you go hijack nobody's ship. That's not what I'm saying. These are just examples to show the lengths a country that takes pride in itself will go to ensure the security of its people. Not just say, boy, them now cooperate with we, so we can't do nothing. We must stop thinking like the ants, who just can't walk over a chart mark and go about it business. We have to stop thinking like that. So, we have the potential to be so much more, and we just not stepping up to the plate and getting the information we need that can help us to solve crime. Now, I said, the first thing I said was about stopping the guns from coming in. It can be done. It can be done. Full stop. Getting the guns in can be done. There is no question about that. They can be found and they can be stopped. But it's a two-pronged approach, because you can't stop the guns from coming in and let the guns that are here in the hands of gunmen remain in their hands. So there are ways that we can find out where these armories are. They can be found. And we need to stop thinking that they can't be found. They can be found. And before I go any further too, it's not just about guns. You don't realize how much ammunition are out there? Ammunition, Andrew? You realize? Well, let me give you a hint. Let me give you an idea, because I don't know if the people who are surrounding you, who are addressing you, who are advising you, have told you this. Remember about 2 years ago, there was a flare-up of gun violence in East Kingston, at the top of Oliver Road, at the foot of Warwicker Hill, and to do with Glasspool Avenue and Hildene Avenue of Mountain View going to the top of Glasspool Avenue, so and so on. In that area, over the course of about 2 week flare-up, you know how many guns, how many spent shells the security forces picked up from what bad men were firing in the area? Let me tell you, they pick up half a keg. I don't know if your advisors told you that they pick up half a keg. Now, if you have been on a firing range, Andrew, and your people who are surrounding you, who have any military training, will tell you that half a keg of rounds is about 4,000 rounds. It takes about 4,000 rounds to fill half a keg, roughly. Now, how many people died over that 2 weeks flare-up? About 5 or 6. Now, if 5 or 6 people die, if 4,000 rounds are expended to kill 5 or 6 people, don't you see the amount of rounds in these people's hands? It is limitless to the point where they don't care how much shots they fire, because there's just a lot where that come from. So, and that's tell us that it's not just about the guns, it's about the amount of ammunition. And we go further. Even today, every single gunman who goes and shoots somebody expend roughly 12 to 15 bullets. When they go to shoot one person, the amount of bullets that are expended are amazing. You see one man lying on the ground and it's 12 bullets expended, 12, 18, sometimes 20. What that tell you? Gunmen have more than enough bullets put aside. They're not worrying about running out of ammunition anywhere near now. We have to capture the ammunition also. And it can be done. It can be done. There are methods of getting these guns. Right? So we stop the flow of guns, one, and using methods that I can tell you how it's done. And two, you need to get the guns that are here, and we can get them and it can be done. But hold on, we're talking about guns. What about the men firing the guns? The men firing the guns is not really a problem, you know. You can get them. But here is what we have got to understand. I'm a pragmatist. And pragmatism is something that I live in my daily life. In other words, I call a spade a spade. And if we call a spade a pitchfork or a shovel, we're going to fail because we are not facing reality. No, me face reality. And here's the reality that you have to face now, Andrew. Our judicial system has failed us. It is not working. Come on. A gunman kill people. Him go to jail. The prison so clogged up and the holding area is so clogged up. What you do? Put him on bail and send him out. Him kill more people. You take him in, carry him in, put him on in detention, give him bail again, send him out, for go kill more people. And at the end of the day, when him done kill and him go in, him kill off the witness and him go, there is no evidence against him. And you still have to let him go. Andrew, the system is working against the security forces. The security forces have rules of engagement. And if one set of us have rules and the other set don't have no rules, how can the security force win when the authorities, the security forces, are governed by rules and their hands are tied and the gunmen have free latitude to kill and maim and cause any problem they can as much as they want for as long as they want? It's not working. It's not working. Another thing you've got to understand too, what you're up against, Andrew. You're not just against laws that ties your hands. You're up against a double-edged sword. Because when you capture a Dan and you put him into prison, guess what? Murder escalates. Here is why murder escalates when you take a Dan, put him in prison. When this Dan is in prison, he have more to prove. He has to prove that he's still in charge. So he have to send out more orders for more deaths, just merely to even test his people that they can are still on his side and can carry out his orders. So he'll order more deaths. So when you take a Dan and put him in a prison, you only cause murder to escalate. Pay attention to that. So what do we do? What do we do? Well, Andrew, we have to handle our bangle, you know. We have to handle our bangle, because our bangle, we have to handle it. We have to face reality. We can't continue like this. We just can't. Oh, are we going to continue in the state? We are going to lose. We are going to lose. So therefore, if we can't take care of these gunmen, if we can't neutralize these gunmen or the threat of these gunmen within the law, then we have to blur the lines. We have to blur the lines. We haven't got a choice. And you've got to understand that we simply have not got a choice. And we have to just do what we have to do. Now, you know what to do. But here is what we're up against. We're up against the human rights people. Right? Now, they're not a problem. They're a problem when you make it a problem. But I want to go into the human rights section of it now. Let me go to INDECOM. Because one of the main things we normally say is stopping the security forces from acting is INDECOM. Now, I say this. INDECOM is necessary. An organization like INDECOM's is really required in a just and free society like ours. And I welcome in the come. They have their role to play in Jamaica, and I'm not condemning them. They have their job to do, and we have to respect that. But Andrew, on the other hand, the security forces have their job to do also, and they can't make Indicom make them stop them from do their work. Therefore, I say this, Andrew, if a tree falls in a forest and there is no one there to hear when it fell, did it make a noise? I don't know if you see where I'm going, but I want to make it quite clear where I'm going. I'm going to be pedantic. If Indicom doesn't know of something to investigate, can it investigate? I leave that there. You have sense, you know exactly what me I say. You understand me? Now, finally, I say this. Andrew, there are 4 things that comes back. The spoken word, the spent arrow, past life, and a neglected opportunity. Now, let's look at them individually. The spoken word. Right now, Andrew, I'm here speaking to you. And after I put this video out across cyberspace, it's not only security forces who are going to see it, gunmen are going to see it, and gunmen are likely to target me and kill me. Come, let's face it. But me not afraid. Once me are dead for my country, me fine. And as a father of 6 boys, who I would like to grow up in a safe country, and my grandkids, it is a risk I am 100% willing to take. You understand me? I'm willing to take that. My background, I've lived a good life. Second thing, so that's spoken word. Spent arrow. You know, Andrew, that once you come to and you take a bow, and once you fire that arrow, the millisecond where that bow, that arrow leaves that bow, it can't come back. Unless you go pick it up, but whatever damage it was sent, it's gonna hit something and it's gone. That's it. Now, past life. Andrew, we have all done things in our life that when we look back on our lives, we regret them. All of us have done things that we regret. Sometimes I think good things we do, you know, we regret because we end up realizing we did it for the wrong people or for the wrong reasons. But we all have things that we have done in our life that we regret. We are human. And sometimes we mentally flagellate ourselves for the rest of our lives about how we could have done things differently if we were to do it over again. But we can't do it over again. You understand me? Past life. But what I'm going to tell you about past life is that 10 years from now, 20 years from now, Andrew, this will be the past. Today will be the past. And when you look back on this day, somewhere down in the future, 10, 15, 20 years in the future, what will you be able to say? Will you be able to say, I did the best I could have done? I could not have done any better? Will you be happy to say in the past, I wish I could have done more? Or I should have done more, I could have done more? Well, you are creating the past when you act or when you fail to act. Because today is going to be a part of your past life. It's going to be part of your legacy. What are you prepared to have it do? Would you want to really leave the country and say, I presided over a country with a total bloodbath that continued throughout my regime? Or just to tell people that I could not have done anything, I couldn't do nothing, because people never tell me where the gun them there, people never tell me which boat I bring in gun, and people never tell me so me couldn't do nothing. Is that what you really want? You know? Do you want to be known, Andrew? Do you want to be known in the future as a person who actually fixed things or a person who failed to fix things? What do you want to be known as? You know, it makes a difference. So we go to neglected opportunity. Last one. Andrew, you have the chance to act. And you have the chance to act now because you are in charge. Now, your advisors have not been giving you the right advice, or if you had been getting them, well, I don't know why you wouldn't have taken them, but something is missing. Something I think that I can put into the mix that can help. Now, if you miss this opportunity to listen to me and let me help you fix this, it will be opportunity gone forever. Andrew, I'm in my 60s. And according to the Bible, which I don't believe in the Bible, but that's well known. But according to the Bible, everybody is entitled to live for 70. Now me over my 70. So and the trend now that when I look at the political landscape, Andrew, it is likely, it is possible, very possible, that I may not live long enough to see another administration takes over. It is possible. And if another administration does not take over, then your legacy will be all the more pronounced, which means that you would have had time, ample time to have fixed things. And if everything is going to hell in a handbasket, no, and you continue to do the same thing in the same way and not getting results and continue, what will your past life be like when you look back on it? It's the time to act. And here is what. This is the opportunity I'm giving you to listen to me. It might never be given to anybody else because of those two things. Because of the fact I may not be around for much longer, one. And two, nobody else may be in your position who would be able to take the advice because I would be gone. Now, so if you miss this opportunity, it's just gone forever. Now, what is it going to be, Andrew? You know? If not you, Andrew, then who? Who going to take advantage of listening to somebody, of listening to a pragmatic person who can actually assist? And if not now, Andrew, then when? After me dead and gone? And hold on, even if you lose the next election, say you lose the next election, trust me, I don't have any hope that the PNP will listen to me either. They have never listened to me before, and there's no there is absolutely no indication that they would ever listen to me. So the last time, the past life would have been just gone, and last time is gone forever. So Andrew, it's down to you. It's down to you. You're commander-in-chief, and you can make the difference. And you can make the difference if you want to make the difference. Are you going to continue seeing problem, excuses? You're going to continue doing that? Are you going to do problem solutions? Are you going to do that? Are you going to continue being that and surrounded by the chart mark who can walk out at any time but simply refuse to walk out and do something different? Andrew, it's all up to you. There's nothing else I can say. So I leave you with those words, and it's up to you to decide what you want to do. Have a great day.